All right, and we are underway. That was Staring at the Valley by Silent Partner. Cobra John, how are you tonight? Nice to see you. I am overheated. I got a lot of sun today. Yeah, you're trying, girl. How you doing tonight, Jill? I hope you feel better soon, Nicole. You look different in a good way. You look nice. I'm just smiling. I got a little bit of sun. The sun is shining. So I'm pretty happy today for the most part. You know, every day has its pluses and minuses. And hi, Polly, how are you? It's out there today at the Pride celebration in Santa Rosa, and of course that was mirrored, I guess, all over the world. I don't know, but in our little corner of the world, it's interesting to see so many people that live as you do, being transgendered, and how the people vary in their what would I say, living their transgendered experience. How you doing, Hazel-eyed Vixen? Nice to see you, Julie Pulley. It's very very interesting to me to look around and see some, especially the younger ones, very strident, very militant, very fire in their bellies. How you doing, Destination Unknown? Thank you. Have the fire in the bellies, and you see the older ones that have been kicked around by life a bit, and they're just kind of laid back and just taking in the whole scene. Hey, prepping. And it's fascinating when you get 300 of your own kind together. And it was an unusual event for me today because I'm covering my own gender, so to speak, my own experience. And I met some interesting people, as you saw. I met a beautiful trans gal, came up to me and said, I really enjoy your follow your videos and watch your channel. And I mean, a gorgeous, knockout gorgeous trans gal. And hopefully we'll see her down on, Johanna is her name. Hopefully we'll see her down on the Rancho. Very sweet gal. And I look forward to possibly having, how you doing, Vanessa? Possibly having her down, a local gal. Just a lot of really good spirit out there today. A lot of resources. When you see your doctor, that's a pretty good experience too. Jen and I share the same physician when it comes to our healthcare and our gender needs. It was very, very cool to see her out there today too. It's not an easy road. Thank you, Joe. It's not an easy road being trans, and it's not something that I've ever particularly whined about or complained about, because truth be told, I think I've had a very easy go of it. Compensating factors, maybe having a very thick skin, maybe I turned out okay. You know, but I've lost a few sisters along the way. Some of Nicole and some other ones that we knew, Serena and some other people. It's the kind of community where people, they disappear into the cracks, and you kind of wonder whatever happened to them. When I first moved here to the Rancho, there was a girl, I can hardly even remember her name. I think her name was Laura, and I used to do some videos. She was like 6 feet 6 inches. Yeah, it was cool, my gosh, 6 feet 6 inches tall. And she still had good spirit. Despite the difficulties of being very tall and very lean, and unfortunately she developed blood clots in her legs and had to stop her hormones. And it's just, people just disappear. You don't really ever know what happens to them, how they still cope with feelings about being trans. And it's one of the issues that when I see people fight this demon every day of coming to terms with who they are versus denying who they are. I think, of course, recently, Hopeful Kylie. I think, of course, of Amanda, and going through all the routine of gathering women's clothing, dressing, and then finding all the difficulties and how much it can suck to be trans and to try to be a woman, and then throwing all your stuff out, getting rid of it. Dressers that hate themselves, they dress in quiet darkness and shrouded in secrecy to be, to experiment and to be who they are. And it's heartrending sometimes when you think about it. Hey, how you doing, Sean? It's really heartrending. And they go through that period of dressing and then self-loathing and then throwing away all their clothes, starting again buying clothes. And it's just, they hate themselves. They love themselves. And they just fight this roller coaster that wreaks such mental havoc on so many of us. So when I go out there today, I do consider myself fortunate. And yet there's some things I disagree with too, fundamentally, about the trans community. How you doing, Perfect? Yeah, the vicious circle, the vicious cycle. And it's like the one thing that I know, Nicole, me, all the other trans women in the community here, which there's quite a few, would tell you, Shawnee and the other ones, there's a couple things that we would tell you for certain. Number one is we would not wish this on anybody. Okay, we would not wish this trans experience on anybody. And the second thing is that it's not something that we consciously chose to be, any more than all of you who are straight out here woke up one day and said, oh, I think I'll be straight. We don't know where it comes from. Many of us go through long periods of counseling and trial by fire and real life experience of dressing and hitting the streets and having shit thrown at us and being in group activities when we used to ride the short buses and running for our lives at events. But it sure gave you a tough skin. Sure gives you a tough skin in life. Some people don't make it and they end up killing themselves. When I first came into this community, came in January, and then by the January of 2013, and one of the real events that brought us together was the suicide of a gal called Hopeful Kylie. Her channel may still be up, some of her videos. Beautiful gal. But when you're trans, you have to cross that bridge with family, with friends, with job, with support, coming to terms with yourself, your nature, trying to discover who you are. And for some people, it becomes too much. family, that all-important anchor. Some women have gone off and left their families of 5 kids and now fight a battle for years to try to get back with them and recapture that ground. It's brutal. It's a brutal experience. Hi, Pam. Hi, Zoe. It's brutal. I know I have fun. I live it. I'm really out there. I know I am. I enjoy myself. I enjoy the body, the spirit, I love it. But I also have a lot of heart. But I'm also one that goes to these trans events, and I think, when people chant, we want justice. When do we want it? We want it now. And I think to myself, what is trans justice? Do we lead with that? And I think it's a little bit different than the gay and the lesbian community, because we have to sort of change, and sometimes remarkably change, our appearance. And that can be fraught with all kinds of problems. Ladies' rooms, men's rooms, choices, schooling, competitions, competing as a man or competing as a woman or competing as a woman or competing as a man. So it's a very difficult, I will, Pam, thank you. It's a very difficult road. But then the real Americanism in me says, I don't think granting people any sort of special privileges does anything to really help them in the long run to cope with the realities of what the real world is like out there. In other words, you can change the laws, but changing people's minds and changing people's hearts is a very different thing. And Ginger reminds me of my Jackie Robinson statement. It's always been a powerful example that I've used for years. The great Jackie Robinson, the first black baseball player in the majors. And remember, I grew up at a time when I would go into department stores, and I'm an old bat. I'd go into department stores, and they would have those lunch rooms on the top floor of the department store or down in the basement. And you would have sections that were marked for colored only and for whites only in Baltimore. All the ladies with their hats and their white gloves. Go to amusement parks, blacks only, whites only line. Movie theaters, blacks, whites. Back of the bus for blacks, front of the bus for whites. The whole schmear. And here's Jackie Robinson in the 1950s going out to play baseball. Hello. Knowing that probably the overwhelming majority of the people can't stand the fact that he's on the field playing the game, and he's got to perform with the team, sometimes get crap thrown at him, cajoled on the road, harassed, threats to hotels. He couldn't stay at the same hotel as the white players. But this guy never complained one time about his circumstance. He became such an outstanding player that the baseball players on his team said, hey, you know what? This isn't right. This guy's got to go to some third-rate hotel on the other side of the town when we travel, when we're all supposed to be a team. Over time, as his greatness became evident, the fans grew to love him, not because he ever held up a protest sign, because he just picked up the baseball and went out to play the game. And one of the raps on Rosie is that I'm not a stand-up person for the trans community because I'm not one to be in advocacy groups. I'm not one to go to support meetings. But I am one to pick up the baseball and go out and play the game every day. I don't burn my clothes. I don't buy all new wardrobes, throw out detransition, transition. I stick it out, and because I'm an older trans woman, I like to think it gives some of the younger people hope that you can survive it. People like Nicole, my wonderful, beautiful, young British trans daughter / friend on here, that she can look down the road and see, even at that age, the old bat can still pull it off and still go forward and still be happy. Pam, I'm no more awesome than anybody else. And the thing that I can advocate for is special rights for people. Treat people equally. Don't give anybody any more. Don't give anybody any less. All entitlements and things do, in my opinion, is they perpetuate dislike instead of forcing people to pick up the baseball and go out there and play every single day. It was quite a day today. I enjoyed myself immensely. It helped me reground myself in the community and have the joy of seeing the young people. Young people I know that are going to be, they're going to have a hard row to hoe in a lot of places. But hopefully they'll have the strength to be themselves and push forward, no matter what they physically may look like, no matter their family situations, religious. They're all the different things that rack trans people's minds in the dark of night. You know, how am I going to make good with my family again? How am I going to face God if there is a God? How am I going to explain this? There's a lot of extra baggage you carry. And you wonder with all those suitcases and shit if you're going to get through the door. The only thing I can think of is that old admonition to do unto others as they would have them do unto you. That's it. Be kind, but don't be stupid. You've taught me a lot too, Pam. Look at one's heart. That's right, Dagon Hills. Yes, Polly, it was a great atmosphere. It was a great turnout today, but it's like one of those it's like one of those controlled environments. You know, you have a lot of like-minded people. You get your energized. It's like plugging in your electric car or whatever. You get your charge and you go out and face the real world in there. But now things are done a little different. Back in my day with counseling and things, we would have group sessions where you'd go out with a group and you'd have to dress and you'd have to face people with things like dances and clubs and events. And sometimes you'd have to run for your life and people would be throwing shit at you on the short bus when you're trying to run for your life and escape and get out of the situation. But it made you tough. There wasn't all the advocacy stuff. There were people telling you you shouldn't do stuff. Now I think there's too many people that are saying, do it. There's not enough people putting up the stop sign and saying, whoa, are you sure you're trans? You know, because you have a sad day and you feel like maybe you want to pop on some women's undies or a dress sometime. Well, okay, we'll start on hormones. Maybe you'll feel better. It's the wrong answer. I worry a lot about over advocacy and people being too readily allowed to go down a path that might be very, very detrimental to them. And I think a lot of my trans sisters and brothers worry about that too. You don't want to go down you know, a female to male, and then you start taking testosterone and you trigger facial hair growth and body hair growth, and you have your breasts removed. And then 5 years later, thank you, Pam. 5 years later, you get down the road, and man, did I make a big mistake. And then you have to detransition, and you can't undo a lot of the family damage, a lot of the physical damage, and the suicide rate soars. You know, unfortunately, in so many cases now, we live in a society, especially here in America, where the medical profession dare not say no. You know, making the patient happy, just pushing the pace. Okay, all right, I'll just prescribe it. Go on your way. You know, the hard work. Thank you, Dagon Hills. So it was quite a day today. Quite a day. It happens, Nicole. Thank you, Cheryl. Through ESSA, yeah, they went through, you know, their gender reassignment surgery, and they wanted to detransition. It's wrong. I've seen a good friend of mine for years, one of my earliest friends here on YouTube, whom Nicole and I know, who has fought this battle of transitioning and detransitioning and going forward and stopping, and it is absolutely brutal. Yes, it is. Original Al says, is it easy to get sex reassignment surgery? It's a seamless process. It's tough to make it happen. Let's just say, Original Al, that the gates that used to be extremely difficult to get over the top of the gate, or to have the key to open that gate, were very rare. They were very rare. Now I think I'm horrified to see children as young as 8 to tell mommy or daddy, I think I'm transgendered, or I think although I'm a girl, I think I'm a boy. Okay, well, let's get you started on, let's get you changed up so we can go through the change process. I mean, it's like unbelievable. So there's a lot of things in the world that I don't like about it. And therefore, in a lot of ways, I cannot be an advocate for something that I don't really believe in. Hey, yeah, man, I feel terrible for the kids in this situation, because many of those kids, when they grow up, Pam, are going to realize that they feel different, but there's not a lot they're going to be able to do about it. Exactly, Goose, because people will not say no. Because 2 doors down, there's somebody today that will say yes. And also the media. I mean, hell, even when Nicole and I were here in 2013, or I was slugging it out in 2002 or 2008, when the internet was young, there wasn't all the explosion of media information. Remember Missy Jenn's situation? How you doing, Barbie? Yeah, can the kids go through puberty? Exactly. Can the kids make an informed decision? How you doing, Shirley? Missy Jenn knew that there was something different about her for years. For years, she knew that she was misgendered. She knew it. She dressed feminine. She did her nails. She did all of those things, but she never knew until one day she came home and saw on Life cable TV a program about 4 people that underwent gender change, and suddenly all the everything clicked into gear for her. Everything made sense. There was a solution to her mind horrors. But imagine a kid that doesn't have any sort of feeling that sees a program like that and says, hey, that seems pretty cool. Let's give that a whirl. It's horrifying. There's an overabundance of information. There's an overabundance of fake news. And there's an overabundance of bad choices. Absolutely, Liberty. I cannot sit back and not comment on the current state of things, because 6 years ago, even as recently as 6 years ago, it was exceedingly difficult to get yourself onto hormones. Now, and I don't mean to bring Amanda up because we are on friendly terms again, but I was surprised a couple of years ago when he was able to present she at a clinic in New Hampshire, and without benefit of counseling or long-term gender counseling, RLE. Now, of course, Amanda had dressed as a woman many times, but for financial gain and no doubt for personal fulfillment, but was given a prescription for hormones and testosterone blockers on day one. When we would show up and it would be 6 months to a year, sometimes 2 years, and you had to dress and worry about your beard, your clunky ass build, your muscles, and get yourself into a dress and get yourself on a short bus with 15 other people and truck your ass out to a nightclub, a bowling alley, a restaurant, where you better believe you and your crew were the topic of the night. And let me tell you, when a couple guys, a good old boys want to dance and they're like, oh, you have a beard? Are you a dude? And you and your crew start running for your life because they're screaming across the dance that there's a bunch of trannies in the play. Man, let me tell you what, the next time that you had your gender meeting, your group session, instead of about 18 people, there were about 12 people there. You know, something very awakening when people were throwing rocks and eggs and stuff at the bus and threatening, and maybe I'm really not trans. Maybe that was a mistake. I can't wait to get into my 69 Camaro GT. Woo. And go get a pack of smokes and roll it into my t-shirt sleeve, get a fifth of Jack and go pick up a broad and make pretend that never ever happened. Man, that was a gateway that kept the numbers super small. If you kept coming back, the more you kept coming back, the more the counselors and the more the physicians knew that you were probably the real deal, that you were willing to break and walk over cut glass to get to where you needed to be. I've told my transition story many times, Original Al, and many of my early videos from 2013. All of my stories are laid out there. It's funny, when it came, I remember Missy Jenn telling me the day of her gender reassignment surgery that doctor that came in, Dr. Christine McGinn, U.S. Navy surgeon, herself a transgender woman, very famous in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as a renowned surgeon in male to female gender reassignment surgery. And she came into the foot of the bed where Jen was preparing the night before and asked her, if I tell you that I'm unable to perform this surgery that you want tomorrow, thank you, what are you going to do? And she said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to do it myself. The doctor knew she was ready to go. And Missy Jenn sailed through and has been living her dream quietly and wonderfully and happily ever since. Yes, she is, just like my license says that, female. Nicole says, don't forget how dating is extremely difficult. Men for part see trans women as a fetish, that secret sex buddy who would never earn enough respect to be with. It's a fact of life. One of the good things of now 2019 is society, of course, is more accepting in a lot of places. But there are a lot of realities that you will face about being trans. And let's face it, I live it up to the handle. I enjoy, I flirt, I live every ounce of my being in myself because it's how I've found my maximum fulfillment. It's not for other people, but for me. Each of us is a little different. Missy Jenn's the quietness. I'm the in-your-face, out kind. So I want to thank those of you who were on the stream today. It was quite nice. I did meet a lovely gal, as you saw. She did watch the videos, Johannes. I hope that you'll call and contact through the channel. Be nice to see her on the Rancho here and make some new friends over in that community. A beautiful Latina trans woman. Yeah, I would have to say, shoot the shit. We're both extremely happy. This is the year I've been working on the spiritual side of things. Not only getting right with myself and doing the things that I want to do on YouTube, but also doing things like testing myself. I think today is day 26 of no alcohol on my 40-day Lenten journey, going back to church. I'm not a perfect person. I like myself. But I think we're measured by the things that we do for others. So I want to put a wrap on that and sort of go over to the next subject here, which is success the hard way versus entitlement. You know, when money drops on people, there's always this tendency amongst a few people. They scratch their head and they wonder why. And it's a good point. It's a good point. I've done YouTube for a lot of years. I've done over 12,000 videos. 12,000 videos. And in my own personal experience, nobody really ever cared that much. Some people would laugh and we'd laugh. Hey, Rosie, sometimes you do 6 videos a day. Yeah, sometimes I would do 6 videos a day. I'm a lot better now than I used to be. I mean, hell, there's a Russian woman, Refka, who did 30,000 videos. All right. Yeah. Nicole's like, don't we know it? When I first started out, the 3rd week I was on YouTube, a woman, a gal friend of mine wrote me and said, you better slow down. You're not going to be able to keep up the pace. I kept up the pace for 6 years because I love it. I love it. But when people come along and finally you get some measure of success, which is tiny in the YouTube world, and let's face it, in YouTube terms, I never really had any problem on my channel until I got close to 20,000 subscribers and shit. My channel was down for a year and a half altogether with being terminations and reinstated. You know, I'm the only person that's been terminated and reinstated 4 times on the same channel. The unsinkable Rosie O'Kelly, right? But the point is, I don't apologize to people because some good things have happened to me in 2019. And there's some success coming. And there's some monetary success coming. But for those people who just want to short circuit that and say, hey, I'm entitled for some because I'm on here too, and I've been here since 2006 or whatever, just because you show up at work every day doesn't mean that you're going to get paid. Showing up means putting up the effort and putting out the product too. It takes a long time. How you doing, Deb? It takes a long time to come on here and find out what you're really cut out to do. I've done a lot of different things on YouTube. And I've had a lot of success. Thank you, Cobra John. Thank you for being such a wonderful friend. Yeah, and if you haven't given a thumbs up, if you're enjoying the chat tonight, please do so. Bearing a little bit of his soul. I don't apologize in 2019. But I would tell you one of the worst things, one of the worst mistakes that you can do on YouTube is to be negative about other people's success. However small it is in the YouTube realm of things. We're a fart in a windstorm down here. I mean, you got really big hitters out there that are lighting it up in the RV community, the boating community. Really big hitters lighting it up. And we're just like small little fish in our tiny little streams. But people come along sometimes and they want to shortcut the process. They don't want to do the work. They want to show up at work and say, just because I walked in the door and punched my time clock card, that I'm entitled to just as much as you are. It doesn't work that way. You got to build your following. You've got to have people that are going to enjoy being with you in a positive way. Because remember, I could put out all kinds of dragging stuff and light this up with 500-600 people. No problem at all. And you all know that to be a fact. But that's the low hanging fruit that doesn't, it's all rotten. Because at the end of the day, in YouTube terms, as I've said before, it doesn't have any value to it beyond this week. It's like spinning your wheels. You don't really go anywhere. You think you are because you light it up, but it's soul leading when you do things in a negative way and you light it up and you tell the people watching, I'm so much better than you and I'm the king of this and that. You might say the words, but down in here, thank you, Vinny. Down in here, it's not very good for the soul. Making positive comment and being uplifting is the real challenge of YouTube. Putting something real out there that somebody like Cobra John or Shannon, my good friend Shannon Studdard, could watch a year from now and still enjoy. That's the real challenge. Thank you, Dusty. So on the nightly, when I'm getting bashed because I might go out on a live stream. I might go to Oakland. And people were chipping in and kicking in because they enjoy the content. Basically, they're doing something that they rarely do on the negative channels. Yeah, we're lucky. You know, for some reason or another, the bright shining star of Norm F is over Marshall and I. I'm happy. He's happy. But I'm so happy I have such a broad base of wonderful people that enjoy the content and say, wow, that was really an incredible chooch. Keep it coming. Good deal. I'm doing good, Jeremy. So the last thing I want to mention tonight, this is going to be a short one because I just wanted to just cover these topics quickly and just say thanks for today. For those of you on the stream, kindness returned with kicks. It's very difficult on a social media platform when you try, and I think my friend Jill is in here. How you doing, Norm? I think my friend Vinny G is in here. And my friend Jill. And thank you, Vinny G. Thank you, Norm. Nice to see you. The Canadian Clipper in the house. And it's difficult sometimes. And I think my friend Jill has seen that no matter how you try to be kind to someone, no matter what you do, you're going to sometimes find yourself kicked around down here and hard. And Vinny G has seen me. He mentioned it to me today. That over the last 2 weeks in particular, I've been getting a living shit kicked out of me on YouTube. And you all know it. And you know it. For some of you, it's been heartbreaking to see. There's more to come, I guarantee you. We live in an era of the clones. We live in an era where people are unwilling to take the time to differentiate, to find out who's who, to see who's real, and investigate a little bit for themselves. So they take his gospel. And let me tell you, it would be very easy to kick it out on here and just pull up like an old Spanish galleon of old, just open up the windows and just start firing away. Start firing away and firing back. Kindness returned with kicks. It does not matter, and I will tell you people, no matter what you do, no matter how much you try to help some people sometimes, you have to be expecting that sometimes you're going to get kicked in the head. And that's the reality of it. Thank you, Pam. I don't engage that. Yeah, it's sad, but it's kind of true. But I don't engage that. But you know why? Because it's not good for the soul. It's not good for the soul. It's not good for me. It's not what's best for my business. See, I'm proud I don't have to be like Marshall on the daily and come on and find the negative, the low-hanging fruit. But amazingly, we've reached the same point where we both pull good numbers. But we're like the heads and the tails on a coin. I go high, he goes low. But the one thing I can absolutely tell you is that thankfully for me, I enjoy a much broader base of genuine support and love and friendship on here that I treasure above simply numbers, because my numbers are there. You don't put 12, moving on 12.5 million views by putting out junk. But I tell you what, at the end of the day, it's the people, it's the acknowledging people in the chat, it's recognizing them for being there, for showing up on duty, for punching the clock, and giving positive support. It'd be so easy to run a, thank you, Norm, it'd be so easy to run a troll channel like Marshall does and just have 200 trolls coming and 15 genuine supporters that like the content. I'd rather have 80 people in that love the content and like me and deal with 10 trolls. That's the difference. We both get the same numbers, but I enjoy a much broader base of support that I love. And that puts a smile on my face. That's what's best for my business. Not grabbing the low-hanging fruit. So I'm going to continue to go for the positive, because people have eyes. People that have the ability to click on an icon and see who's the real Rosie O'Kelly and who's the fake. Smart people do. I can't cure dumb people, brainless people that don't know any better. I can't help that. There's nothing I can do about that. Thank you, Deb. The Canadian Clipper, Norm F., I want to thank you again for your wonderful kindness today, your support, what I've done. And I want to thank all the other ones that have been with me too. And the people that show up and just say, hey, Rosie, I enjoyed the stream. Thank you. Or just give a thumbs up. Take a minute to just give a thumbs up. You guys are great. You might have 236 people in a negative chat, Marshall, but I have 236 people on a positive stream enjoying me out there on the road, seeing me interact with real people instead of a steering wheel. I'll take that any day of the week. I love you guys. Thanks so much for being around, and let's keep pulling positive. When I hit the road, there's so much more good stuff to come. LA, down the coast, Tara, Mr. Z coming, barbecues, heading out to the Midwest, going to see, hopefully meeting up with the Canadian Clipper, Norm F., up there, and hanging in the great country of Canada. I want to thank you all for being along tonight. Thank you very much. If you haven't, on the way out, if you could hit the thumbs up button, I really appreciate it. Very important live stream tomorrow afternoon for a very important lady. I hope you all can be there. Thanks so much, everybody.